So first of all, welcome everybody to our virtual executive talk, and in partnership with Swiss Post, with Austria Post, this time also with PostNord, we organize this virtual executive talk on digital communication by posts, from cannibalization fears to powerful digital communication tools. As we all know, the services of postal operators are mainly or mostly related to physical items. We are talking about letters, we are talking about parcels. And while physical letter mail has been drastically declining over the past 2 decades, packages and parcel volumes have been thriving, driven by the growth in e-commerce. And we all know that communication itself, however, is just one second. Communication itself is not limited to physical channels. It is also containing digital channels, other different channels. The reality is it appears in many different forms. And the question that we are trying to ask ourselves today and to discuss today is, does it make sense to limit the postal role to physical items rather than communication in its broader sense? So our discussion today will focus on the role which postal operators can play in an omnichannel communication context. We'll discuss successful products which are provided by several postal operators, success criteria, and their use cases. But we're also going to discuss challenges and obstacles which need to be addressed. The speakers which we are going to have here today with us are Michael Rieder. He's the head of Trusted Interaction Products at Swiss Post. We have Morten Ollensen. He's the market director at eBox. And we have Jasmin Scherlin. She's the product manager of the eBrief at Austria Post. So welcome everybody. And before I hand over to our first speaker, let me just say some organizational points. Of course, you can ask questions. You have two possibilities. You can either use the chat box and ask the question in the chat box, and I'll put it forward to the speakers. But as well, you can make yourself visible somehow, raise your hand and join the discussion. And ask a question directly, either to the panel or to a specific speaker. The other thing is I muted everybody. So if for some reason this doesn't work as I planned, just try to mute yourself when you're not speaking and unmute yourself when you're asking a question or when you're presenting. So I think that's all from my end at this point, and I would now like to hand over to our first speaker, Michael Rieder from Swiss Post. Michael, you can share your slides and you can start your presentation, please. I make you the host of the meeting, and so it should be possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for this nice introduction. I'm really pleased that I can give you some insights or some learnings from my or part of Swiss Post journeys in the last couple of months, years, however, or decades, as we already heard today. I will talk a little bit about Swiss Post, and especially in case, of course, for the digital part of Swiss Post, and then the second part of my slides, I will focus on one product. As we heard already in the introduction of Bernhard, over the past 20 years, Swiss Post environment has changed significantly. Letters and all the over-the-counter volumes have plumped. The parcel market is currently really booming. Demand for mobility services or for the mobility is increasing year by year. And with that, requirements for us, for Swiss Post, also changed. And this is why Swiss Post is renewing its promise to provide a relevant, self-funded physical and digital public service, and addressing or tries to address those challenges with the new strategy of Swiss Post. It's Post of Tomorrow. So we believe that something special could be created when we can focus on the essentials. And that's why people and companies need as much freedom as possible for that to gain that focus. And at Swiss Post, we create this freedom by moving goods, by moving information, assets, and people. So we try to power Switzerland with trustworthy services in the physical and the digital world. At home, during leisure time, at work, in the countryside, but as well in the cities, of course, anytime and across all the borders. For that, we had a big reorganization at the beginning of last year, and there were two main changes that has been done. So the first one was that all the logistic capabilities, especially in case of letters and parcels, of course, were bundled into a new unit called logistic services. And then there was also found a new department of Swiss Post that is called communication services. That's the department I'm working personally in. And the idea of this new communication services is to establish and to bring simple and trustworthy solutions for the digital future to Switzerland. Yes, so the mission of communication services is constantly, or our goal is to facilitate intuitive digital interactions for people, for companies, but as well for public authorities, and that in a simple and secure way. Secure means especially handling of the data, of course, because that's one of the main purposes of Swiss Post in the past almost 200 years. So what does this mean? Simple. In simple, we have the idea to provide application services and solutions that can be accessed by everyone. That's this part of the digital service public, anywhere and anytime, and they should be as simple as possible and as intuitive as possible to use. And on the other side, we have security, or the secure part in the focus. So we guarantee citizens, public authorities, and companies a protected, decentralized space for secure, encrypted data transmission and storage. And that's our mission of this new department called Communication Services. The main or the master plan of this new department is to develop different ecosystem, and so we try to help Switzerland, and we try to take Switzerland with us on our digital journey, and there we have to see there are several major challenges related to digitalization that we are facing both globally and in Switzerland. And by establishing this ecosystem, we at Swiss Post aim to support Switzerland in overcoming these challenges of the digital future. For that, our customers are in focus, or are our focus, and we want to establish three main ecosystems, or four. So for private customers, it's a role that's everywhere in some kind of. Then for the SMEs, for the public authorities, and for healthcare providers. And we want to connect them to, or try to connect them to each other and obtain services and interact together. And all these ecosystems can contain both closed and open solutions. And in each of those ecosystems, there are various services and products in it. So in these ecosystems, communication services also tries to enable partners to develop new solutions or services in order to resolve customer problems and integrate them, and integrate also this data, or the data, into different software products. So building these services and products for those ecosystems brings for us many different challenges, brings different challenges, and especially because we are building and growing organically and on an inorganically way. In the organic build, or on the organic way, the main challenge is for us, for Swiss Post, or for us, for my teams, is speed. which is absolutely needed for a good time to market or fast time to market, but not easy to achieve in a large corporate like Swiss Post is. And in the case of the inorganic growth path, there is more the difficulty to find the right targets that matches as pieces of a puzzle into our whole service portfolio or service landscape, and also integrate them in a right way. And therefore, all over, we are currently really strong working on a functional and commercial bundling of those different products and services we have. So give a better bundle or a bundle to customers that fits better for them than just one puzzle piece. And of course, there are also challenges in the context of building ecosystems, because we talk always about multi-sided markets, in which it is important to build up the various audience groups, because otherwise there is really hardly to find the right attractiveness for others or for new customers to be involved. And this requires clear strategies and of course, just clear investment plans. Yes. And a good example for that is for me is IncaMail. So this product is a really simple one. It's securing your email. And as an example, mass mailers of payroll, salary slips is one of our main use case. And of course, the sender side is the customer group where we earn the money. But without a good audience group on the receiver side, there will be no business, because then we are not attractive enough to find the paying customers. Most of the recipients, however, are not paying customers, as I mentioned, and this means that on the one hand, we are looking for companies that want to make large mass mailings, and on the other hand, we bring exciting functions to mail recipients so that we have as many recipients as possible here. We have been doing this very well in the past years, and in Switzerland alone, we have over 1.5 million recipients and about 1,500 large senders. Our customers include government agencies, banks, educational institutes, industry, and many more. And all of these customers enjoy IncaMail's secure service for exchanging sensitive information via email. So in doing so, we serve customers for bulk sendings or for individual sendings from IT systems such as ERP, CRM, or HR systems. And on the other side, our customers use IncaMail with some kind of a plugin to send secure and even registered mail directly from Outlook. And the main challenges we have, or the main questions we currently have in case of this product of IncaMail are three. So first one is, with this whole ecosystem and portfolio story of communication services, how can we leverage IncaMail's large user base into other communication services, products or services? Second one is, how can we develop individual users from the current free model, so they're not paying users, into a paid premium offering and monetize another part of our current users? And last question is, how can we automate the marketing and the sales processes for higher efficiency, because we have pretty small average deal sizes today, and mostly it don't make sense to find new customers over enterprise sales. So for me, it's clear, or IncaMail is not an example of a product that matches the very latest technology trends, but with 1.8 million users overall, with more than 6 million mails per year sent, IncaMail is a good example of a digital product or digital service that works. if you want security, confidentiality, and traceability in your mail service, IncaMail is the right product. And everyone is using today mail, email, even in the age of platforms and portals. So it's not the newest shit, I know, but it covers relevant needs for communication and exchange for information. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. I'm really looking forward for answering questions or having fun discussions with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that you stopped sharing. Perfect. I have a very quick question. You mentioned, or you were talking about the ecosystems. So just for my understanding, I know that Swiss Post has a couple of very interesting products in the area of, well, public administration and the health services. You have e-health, you have e-voting. They are part of this very secure and sensitive ecosystem. So are they part of this package developed within this this area? Is that correct? Or
yes, that's correct. For eGov, so for the e-governmental processes, of course, e-voting is an important product, but I mean, it's not definitely clear what will happen in Switzerland in next year, because there are some huge milestones or gates that we have to going through. And eGov e-voting will be really independent as a product, but on the eGov side, we are trying to enable cantons, so on state level, but as well on municipality levels and on the whole Swiss government level, different platforms with our services. As a good example for the inorganic way is that we buy the company called Dialog AG, and their only product is software that municipalities are using for the whole municipality management. So an ERP, CRM for municipalities. And I mean, that's just the first step or the first piece to get into this market and then enhance the services the municipalities bring to the citizens on a digital way. So when we look forward to the whole EID part with SSI, so self-sovereign identity, for example, municipalities will be a really important group of issuers for digital credentials. And then if we own the access to one of this big issuing group, then we have the chance to really fast bring those services in a broad way to Switzerland and to the citizens and to the SMEs.
perfect. Thank you very much, Michael. Okay, let's turn to the next speaker. Morten, you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you.
I make you host, and just give me a second. Make host. Yeah. Well, that's it. You can share.
I'll share my screen. Just a minute. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yeah, it just opened. It's good.
Perfect. Bernhard, thank you for inviting me and my colleague Giovanni to this meeting. When we prepared for this meeting, Giovanni and I actually had some discussions. We've been in this business for some years now. We've been here, or eBox has been here for 21 years. So in Denmark and in Nordics, eBox has developed into, you can say, a de facto standard. And both Giovanni and I have from different companies been working with eBox as a platform for secure communication for some while now. So digging into it, the ownership of eBox and the ownership of PostNord Storfors, the company Giovanni is working for, is actually owned by PostNord, the Nordic postal service company. You can say covering most of Nordics in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. PostNord, and now I'm backing up a bit, but PostNord at one point of time considered developing a communication platform as the one Michael has just shared, or eBox has. but took the decision of investing in eBox. And in that process and in the working years since they invested in eBox, they actually also decided to create a digital company called Postal, who works with eBox amongst other things, but is working in the digital channel, helping senders, customers digitizing their communication to different channels, of which eBox is one. What we actually do is I think, similar to what Michael showed us here, looking at all the senders going from large enterprises such as banks to mid-market companies like insurance companies or smaller SMB companies. What we do is actually we integrate to their output systems through a multi-channel system. And this is where PostNord typically work. They integrate their omnichannel system into this sending systems. They convert the data and produce elements such as a PDF. And then they actually try to send it to eBox, the digital channel for secure communication. And if they are able to meet, you can say, a registered user within eBox, the digital postbox platform, they deliver that document to that user on our platform. It gives, you can say, both the sender but also the user a guaranteed delivery. It's an instant delivery, it's low cost, and as Michael also shared, it's secure, encrypted, and sustainable. It's an easy way to do communication, secure communication with your users and customers. If we cannot identify the user in this, PostNord would typically print the document. They would put it in an envelope. They would put stamps on the envelope as well, and send it through using PostNord locally in the Nordics, simply sending it physically as we have been doing for more than 100 years in Nordics as well. So this is in essence how it works. In Nordics, we have you can say a fairly good PKI system called NemID or MitID, which is a identification and authentication system where every citizen in Denmark is actually able to get their own identity and be authenticated for eBox or other platforms where you want to have a guarantee that the Morten Olesen you are sending a document to is the right Morten Olesen. So we are lucky enough to have that sort of PKI developed both in Denmark but also across Nordics. But otherwise, we are also working with partners to resell their say identification and authentication system if it has an interest for everybody. Like Michael, we also looking at what are the services we can deliver on this platform. And of course, you can send a digital document, you can reply to it, but you can also send contracts. And what we do is actually both, we have developed our own signing service. And we do, I think, around 5.5 million signings every year. So we have become a pretty big signing delivery in Denmark as well. We also have a payment service, and the payment service is actually developed so we work with the ecosystem, the payment service providers in Nordics, exposing their payment service system in eBox, so we don't have to develop that ourselves. And then on our new platform, we're also exposing, you can say, the platform through open APIs. So if anybody who wants to use our platform is interested to develop their own services on top of this, you can build whatever you want on top of the platform. What we know that some customers are looking for is you can say a wallet, where users on the platform might be able to upload documents, safe documents they want to have on a secure platform. That's the kind of services you can use and you could develop on your own to the platform. The bragging of eBox, we've been doing this, as I said in the beginning, for 21 years. As of today, we actually have all Danes on the platform. We have approximately 1 million business users on the platform. We're also sending documents, contracts from a sender to a business. So it's not only, you can say, B2C communications, it's also B2B communication. And we are seeing opening rates around the 99%. And of course, some of the documents have lesser opening rates simply because they are less interesting to the user. But some of the documents, contracts, and these kind of documents have a opening rate close to 100%. And in 21, we actually distributed 744 million documents on the platform, and have become, over the 21 years, the second most trusted brand in Denmark, only passed by Lego. So we are pretty proud about that trust that the citizens in Denmark are showing us. And I think it's also because we handle, you can say, I would say almost all communication in Denmark that comes with this character. We have 38 million logins every month. And being a Danish citizen, I actually never get any physical mail anymore, except for, you can say, what do we call it? Not administrative mails coming from retail stores and these kind of things, because we are not allowing anything than administrative mail on the platform, simply to avoid having our users look at it as a spam platform. So this was it.
Great, thank you very much, Morten. And these are really impressive figures.
Yeah, it's taken 21 years.
Yeah,
so
still, I mean, who can say I have the whole country as a customer?
It's been I actually think, and looking at Michael's numbers, it's actually a proof that actually generating a digital platform in the context of a postal service operator is the right thing to do. I'm 100% sure that Michael, when he is sitting here 21 years down the road, he will look at similar numbers. That will be a natural development.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Morten. Can you stop sharing, and then I can hand over to our next speaker.
There is a hands up from Sophie, who has a question.
Exactly, I see the hands up now. I have also seen a question here already in the chat box. If you're all okay with it, I would like to ask the questions towards the end. I would first like to give Yasmin the floor, and then we come to all the questions in the chat box and those people who raised their hand. Okay, just a second. I will make now Yasmin the host briefly, and you can share your screen and make your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's opening, so we can see it. It's good.
I see it already. Perfect. Do you also hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Fine. That's fine. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm happy that I can talk today about eBrief. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yasmin Chalin. I'm product manager for digital services within the business solution, which is a part of the Austrian Post. I've been a product manager for the eBrief only very recently. I've taken the product over in November last year. Before that, I've been an employee from Send Hybrid, which is a small startup company that has been acquired by the Austrian Post in the past, because Send Hybrid has developed the solution I'm going to talk about today. First of all, I would like to take a step back and tell you what the environment is that we are dealing with in Austria, and then I will later on tell you more about the eBrief and a little bit about how it technically works. So I would like to use this as a basis for our discussion afterwards, because as far as I can see, that we all have very different legal environments that we are moving in. So just let's start. We do have a system of dual delivery, which I think might be kind of specific to Austria. So this is, I think, since about 15 years in Austria, authorities and municipalities are obliged to deliver their letters via a dual delivery system, which means that the recipients are able to decide whether they want to receive the letters electronically or per mail. Mail being the default option. All registered letters with advice of delivery are provided by My Postbox. This is a system that's operated by the Austrian government. So no private providers, no private service provider is allowed to present these letters. All other letters, non-registered, can be distributed to any other electronic system. Also, since January 2020, all companies in Austria are required to use electronic deliveries as recipients. They have to be available for the government by electronic delivery. All other mail, so private mail, is not subject to any regulation in Austria yet. So there is no obligation to send electronic mail yet. So how does this dual delivery system work in general? There is a sender, obviously, on the one side, who provides their printing data to registered delivery service. Usually, this is done by a web service application. The delivery service then checks for electronic available recipients. We also, for governmental issues, we are able to match this with the central resident register. If I'm not sure if you can see this correctly. I'll have to move this preview. On the right side, if the recipient is available electronically, we can either send to My Postbox, as I mentioned earlier, if it's a registered letter. All non-registered can go to eBrief by Austrian Post or a qualified mail system, which we also offer. If the user is not available electronically, we will print and send the letter via mail. So let's jump to the eBrief, which is the digital letterbox by the Austrian Post. How does it fit into this dual delivery system? The eBrief has been launched in 2017, and after we've seen the numbers from Denmark, this is of course another class what we are working on growing. We have been sending 4.2 million electronic documents. We are now having 500,000 active eBrief letterboxes and about 350 active senders. I will show you maybe why. So in the next slide, you will see that this is quite similar. This is how the eBrief delivery system works, and it's quite similar to the dual delivery system, which I've shown you before. So at Austrian Post holds a printing facility, which is the D2T, which I mentioned here on the left side. The D2T is one of the largest printing facilities in Austria, and does have many large clients such as banks, providers of any kind, or insurances, which do have very large amounts of letters, very mostly millions of deliveries. And those companies have in the past already been sending their information via an interface. And this information is now checked for electronic available recipients, not only those who are available in the governmental system, but those who have been registered for the eBrief, also those who have been registered for the eBrief in the past. So again, like we've seen it before, if a user is not available electronically, we will print and send his delivery by mail. So we do not, for private companies, we do not have access to this information system from the government. So we are not able to identify users as we would with the governmental dual delivery system. So we'll need another option to assure that all delivery goes to the correct person. So I would like to have a look into that. How do we assure that the person who is registering for the eBrief is the one who is allowed to receive these letters? So if a new person registers for an account on Postal, we will send them an activation letter to their and only this registered address. The activation letter has an activation code which can be used one time and only for the given address. When the user enters his account and uses the activation code, this one address for this specific person is activated for the eBrief, and we will be able to match letters to go there. The user is able to add other addresses as well, but he has to go through this verification process once again, so that we can assure that the holder of the physical mailbox is the only one who gets the electronic sendings. So how do we match letters to these electronic post boxes? We receive documents or documents plus structured data from our clients, and we will extract the address. We will normalize the data, which means often users or recipients do not write their address exactly the same for all the companies that might send them letters. So we remove dashes or commas or whatever, to receive a normalized street name and person name, we will check with the register of residence for uniqueness of the name. So even though we are not allowed to retrieve information from the register of residence, which would help us to identify persons, we can check if there is another person with the same name. If that's the case, and we are not able to say, is this the one or the other, for example, father or son who have the same name and the same address, we will not send the letter electronically in order to be sure that not the wrong person receives the letter. So after this process, we will check if there is an existent eBrief user and if the delivery will be sent to the eBrief letterbox. Otherwise, we will create a printed letter. eBrief features for the user we are offering right now are up to 500 e-letters can be delivered and archived. We offer a qualified signature. Also, there is an integrated online payment solution. The users are able to use individual labels for effective organization. And we also have an upload feature for the users to upload other important documents that they want to archive in their eBrief. So that's it from my side. I hope you got an overview of our product and the challenges we have to handle. And I'm looking forward for the discussion coming up.
Thank you very much, Yasmin. Can you stop sharing as well? Perfect. Thank you very much. So we have received a question here, which I would like to put forward immediately. It says it's a question to Michael, but the point is it was written after your presentation, Michael. But I think it's for everybody the same question, more or less. The question in terms of a business model, how does your solution, whether it's I think Inca or eBox or the eBrief, how does it compare with email? So what is the magnitude of premium compared to email that senders are willing to pay? So why do you say I pay something, I put money on the table to get something more than email? What is now really the argument why to do it? Who wants to take it? Michael?
I would like to start.
Yeah, please, Yasmin.
Okay, from our perspective, it's a much more secure solution. The eBrief in Austria is free of advertisement, so it's absolutely spam free. Only specific senders can provide letters to the eBrief, for the recipient, it's a free service. For the sender, most important, it's half of the price of a normal letter for postage. And it's the sender can be sure that the delivery will be delivered, and he also can track if it's opened, if it has been seen, has been opened, etc. So there's some more details to it.
Thank you, Yasmin. Morten, Michael, do you have something to add?
From our side, or for IncaMail side, there are two other. So I totally agree with Yasmin here, and we have two other pros. So first one is that let me take the example of the salary slip mass sending. There are definitely regulations of data protection and so on are in place, and with a regular email service you are not you're not in the right way. So that's one argument, and more companies are definitely more aware of this issue. And the second one is for us is we have in IncaMail you have the chance to use registered emails, and that also from a law or from a court perspective replaces the registered letter. And in Switzerland, you pay, I believe, 6.5 Swiss francs to send a registered letter, to 1.8 francs for a registered mail, and that's without the whole process cost and walk to a post office and so on so far. So it's also an efficiency case.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Michael, thank you. Morten, what is your experience?
It's the similar answer. GDPR is making it a difficult case for emails in Europe. So staying within the you can say the legal boundaries of GDPR is important for most centers in Nordics. And additionally, our, you can say, addressability, we are guaranteeing 100% you can say delivery ability. So our solution is dependent on your social security number in Denmark, which is unique. So we have you can say an ability to ensure that when we send something to Bernard, it comes to Bernard.
I think that is an extremely important point. I mean, this 100% reachability, you can change your address, you can move around the country, you can go wherever you want, but you're always reachable. So I think this is an extremely important point as well. There was a hand raised. I don't know who was it again, because I don't see the hand raised right now, but maybe the person, was there a question in the audience? Then you can take the floor.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Thank you, Bernard. It's Sophie from the French Post.
Hello, Sophie.
Thank you for sharing, everyone. Just one simple question, but concerns everyone. How do you communicate with your customer related to the IDAS regulation? Because I guess that the service you are providing has to comply really with this IDAS regulation. Can you confirm?
Who wants to take this question?
I was completely lost because of the audio quality. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to repeat?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I think the part with the regulation, there was a little bit of.
Okay.
Can you try that again?
Is the sound correct now? Can you hear me well?
It is better, I think. Yeah.
Okay. My question was, how do you communicate with your customer related to IDAS regulation? Because I guess this digital service has to comply with the IDAS regulation. So as we're talking about digital communication, it involves also customer information related to this regulation. And I wanted to know how you are working on this issue.
So the question is, if I might rephrase it, because really the audio is not so good. It comes with a lot of side noises. No, but I think there are regulations in place that should guarantee. I think it's about data and the customers, correct? And how do you secure this kind of data with regard to the customers? How do you communicate with the customer in order to have a secure stream of communication with the customer? Is that more or less correct? Okay, good. So there's the security of the communication itself. How do you guarantee that? How do you comply with the strict standards?
I can give it a go. Not being very technical, but what we do is actually within the boundary of our platform, everything is encrypted. And you can say in principle, we don't care about the message. We don't care about the GDPR data. We are simply being the messenger of a document from a sender to a user. We are not opening, we are not handling the data within the PDF, for example. We are simply handling the letter. And we don't have an ability to look into, we are not looking into the specific GDPR compliant data. So it's simpler. It's simply a matter of you can say not handling personalized data.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Morten.
Thank you.
Any of the other speakers who wants to take the floor in that respect?
Well, it's the same in Austria. It's IDAS conform service, and we do not send any other information besides the letters. And as the user is applying for the service, so they register for the service, they of course have to they obliged to these regulations within the contract of the general. Yes.
Then maybe let's move to another question here. I mean, this is something that maybe today not anymore to that extreme, but certainly what one has heard quite often when posts were entering this kind of business, this kind of new area. Well, we are a company with physical letter items. So we are cannibalizing ourselves. We are talking exactly about these kind of volumes like government mail or the mail from insurance companies or banks, exactly these kinds of high volumes that make us live, that are so important to us with regard to turnover. Now we are cannibalizing ourselves. Is that true, or is it rather smart product diversification? And Giovanni, we have you here on board. You were from Post Nord. You were also you were involved, of course, in this digital strategy, of this communication strategy. What is maybe your view on this point?
I think one important subject is also to reflect on some of the answers we already heard, is that focusing on the receiver user experience and focus on the process within the centers, because we are discussing here the cost, the price, the security, and so on. But let's face it, we already foresaw that in 20 years back, down the line, all of us will serve ourselves within the net banks. Down the line, all authorities will probably go for digital communication with the citizens. Down the line, we will e-shop all over. So in fact, we are living in different degrees of digitalized community. And that was actually the motivation way back. Yes, we will take away some of our print volume, but that's because it will happen anyway at some point in time. And actually, at that point in time, the prime strategy and motivation for the board of directors was focusing on what do the centers want from the postal operators in the future, and how can we fulfill the obligation and the user experience from the receivers. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, was taken from a point in time where the digital volumes was almost zero. But today, the digital volumes in Denmark is 4-5 times the physical volumes in Denmark. And of course, that also reflects some of the changes we have done in our company. So now we have a group, Storefors Group, focusing on the omnichannel way of doing business, and the postal business is primarily a parcel and a mail business.
Mm-hmm. Is this seen in a similar way in Austria and Switzerland, or do you still see that it's just as a niche, or do you give it as well this high in importance?
So I don't have the exact numbers and figures to be clear, but I'm now in Swiss Post for almost 9 years, and when I reflect a little bit, we were not at this point when I joined 9 years ago, because post mail, so the letters were definitely our cash cow, or still is our cash cow right now. So most EBIT out of letters, but in the especially with the change of our CEO and then the new strategy, then the change or the shift really starts. Now it's not anymore a discussion about saving the current old-fashioned business model and wait with the digital services to replace it. It's more kind of how to deal with with this hybrid world, or this hybrid worlds, and but we are building also some kind of this, we call it one API strategy. So going to the big senders and give them the opportunity to have a 100% delivery on which medium doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but it changed in the past years.
So as Giovanni said, it's focused on how are the consumers behaving, and if it's turning digital, you have to diversify and you have to do it yourself or lose the market. Yeah, Yasmin, in Austria,
Yeah.
you see it similarly?
To add, of course, we see it similarly. It's not a question if the letters will decrease, and it's only the question when or how fast this will happen. And of course, there are different legal situations also that have a very high impact on how quickly it goes. Right now, if we would do nothing, we would lose many things only to letters or to email or to portals provided by different senders, banks, and whatsoever. We need to do something to receive the electronic letters.
One last question then. We still have very few minutes left, but not many, but still. It was mentioned by Michael in his presentation, and I think this plays a role for everybody. And this was, how can you use the user base of this kind of product also for other products? So how can you create synergies between the digital communication platforms that you have with other products that you sell within your organizations, or the other way around? Who wants to start on that point?
I think it's quite easy to see the opportunity if you have all the users on your platform within a given country. What we see in Nordics and some of the other countries outside Nordics where we are present is a need for other types of digital communication not being embedded in a PDF. It could be that you could eventually share data from a user, but of course consented by the user. It could also be that some of your senders want to do self-services on your platform. Instead of embedding data in the PDF, why do you not expose, you can say, a self-service on your platform so users can fill in a form, you can say, enabling structured data gathering instead of having it going back and forth in PDFs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
could I just add that basically we should see it as a process and not as a distribution issue.
Yep.
If we look at it as a process and listen to what the senders require, it just doesn't fulfill the obligation the senders need to have. They need to have a process in place, and that will enable other service payment, booking of calendar time, signing, and so on. Then you take a kind of as a service perspective towards the sender and not only the distribution part.
Mm-hmm. Michael, and if you on that, you brought up this point, and I think it's an interesting point that you have. I mean, with eHealth and other services, I think this is also what you were thinking about other ecosystems where you can use this database, right?
So one example is we have this service called ePost. It's pretty similar to the other, to Yasmin and Martin, what you heard from them. And there it's almost the same business model. So we will earn hopefully a lot of money with the senders, but that you have the big senders, you need a huge recipient base or user base on the recipient side. And there we are on the way, but we don't have already the huge base. So we are really thinking about how can we maximize the attractiveness of this service for the recipients. And with that, for example, it's planned that you can, in 2 or 3 months, you will have the chance to receive, for example, IncaMails in the ePost app, or we will bring the signing services from our shareholding company, Swiss ID, Swiss Sign, as well to this service. And so that was this part of bundling, of the functional bundling. It's all about develop. I was talking about this multi-sided market, and it's all about developing both or all the 3 or all the 4 sides that is needed, that this ecosystem, this platform economy could really start or leverage and scale. And these are the points we are not just discussing, planning, and then delivering in the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I see a raised hand here, and I think we should still take this question. Gustavo, you have a question.
Yeah, hello. Thank you,
Hello,
Berhan.
Gustavo.
So I have a quick question. So in regards of integration across the different platforms, let's say IncaMail, Modern, and AUSTRIA Post, I was wondering what is their view on what is the roadblock that is stopping for international interconnectivity between the platform. Is it more legislation, or is it digital identity that I think many times in many countries that slows down the adoption of the digital services and digital transformation, the lack of digital identity acceptance? I mean, as it was the case from Denmark, that it helped to move forward very quickly, or it's a combination of all of them? What do you see? What's the most critical thing that could help to speed up this international integration?
You can say my guess would be, Gustavo, that simply for a Danish company sending to Switzerland or Austria would be a matter of having, you can say, the address right. And I assume we are developing, you can say, the addresses in every system on our own, and they are not complying with each other. So right now we are probably creating a mess. If you look at this from an international perspective, at least I assume so.
Yasmin, you wanted also to say something?
Yeah, but it was quite the same.
Okay.
So as long as there is no international identification matter on the one side, and in Austria, as I mentioned, we do not even have the identification on the sender side, we would not be able to deliver electronically.
Okay. And I think in Switzerland it's the same, Michael, right? Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Gustavo, maybe maybe this answers your question, but at the same time, Gustavo from the UPU, maybe this is a topic to pick up, and I mean, since we have discussed here really the importance of secure digital mail, not as a nice add-on to what postal operators are doing, a nice diversification. It's a business need because the customers are moving in this direction for 2 decades already, quite strongly, and so it's just a logical step to say for postal operators, well, we are in the communication business. We have been so in the communication business from the beginning onwards. Okay, 150 years ago, it was letters, but it still is in our DNA to do communication, and we go with the customers and their needs. So we provide this service. So on an international level, it would be the same thing. On an international level, maybe the UPU can also come up with ideas or help, and I'm sure you're looking into these topics. But maybe to help this question also getting solved one day, because it is, I think, an important question in our community, in our society, that digital communication cross-border is maybe not the exception, but will become more and more frequent. And the more digital solutions there are in a strong postal network, the better it is. So I would like to thank the participants, because we are already 5 minutes behind schedule. So the time is literally over. But I would like to thank you for the presentations. It was extremely important and interesting to see what Swiss Post, Austria Post, and Post Nord are doing in this area. And I must say, really quite impressive figures as well. In particular, in Post Nord, when you see those volumes and know that everybody in the country is using it, and also beyond the country actually. And so I think it is a topic that is, if you want, quite specific, but at the same time, it's very crucial for all postal operators in this area to get a strong foothold and to provide customers with what they need and what they are asking for as communication providers. So thank you again to all the speakers, and thank you also very much to all the participants. Thank you for your questions that you have provided. And as I said in the beginning, this webinar has been recorded, and we'll send out an information with a link to it. It will be published on our YouTube channel. So thank you very much again, everybody, and have a great remaining day. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.